is to go, not taped, it's going to be sent out to all the classrooms. So they're going to make an announcement and tell people what channel they're on. So you have your best, you're going to be on your best behavior. If in any way you're having trouble concentrating on what we're doing here, we're going to have you go into another room and you can sit quietly there so other people will be able to concentrate. Any other questions or concerns?
Please pardon the interruption. All 6th grade teachers, if you could please turn your TVs on to channel 26. Again, all 6th grade teachers, if you could please turn your TV on to channel 26. Thank you.
All right, so we are very lucky that we are sitting here live with Miss Heidi, and this is Lily's aunt. She's going to talk to us about her experiences in China. So make sure you give her 100% of your attention.
Thank you so much for having me today. I'm really excited to talk to you about China. Thank you, Lily, and your mother for helping me arrange coming here. Thank you, my parents, for driving here. And thank you, Lake Elkhorn, for having me. And thank you for your interest in China. I'm really excited to talk to you. So, China is very, very different. So different from here. Just this picture, for example. Can you hold a baby panda in the U.S.? No, you cannot. This is a baby panda.
That's a baby?
It's a baby. And it's actually Jackie Chan's baby. This is my friend Christy and our friend Tremaine, and they held Jackie Chan's baby panda. So I would love to go hold a baby panda. I have not had the chance yet. Guess how much it is to hold a baby panda?
$100.
$150 US. So a little expensive. Okay, so let's talk about China. So what do you already know? Can someone tell me? Yep, there was a cultural revolution.
That in the early 1100s, China was ruled by emperors.
Yep, there was dynasties, there were emperors.
It's like schools are very different.
Schools are very different. That's definitely true. Anything else?
Well, from what Miss Valerie said, they learn two other languages, Spanish and English.
Yep, they're starting to learn Spanish more and more, but usually they learn English and they learn Chinese in school. Mostly in the cities too.
Many things come from there.
And what comes from there?
Many things.
Many things, that's definitely true. Almost everything we have comes from China.
They invented paper.
Yep, they invented paper. Anything else they invented?
The American flag.
Fireworks? Yes, they have a very big population. And last one.
China invented gunpowder.
Yep, China invented gunpowder. So Danny, so I live in Shenzhen. Anyone know about Shenzhen? It's not very commonly spoken about.
It's a country.
It's a country?
It's a city.
Shenzhen is a country? Shenzhen is a city, a very big city in China. Click forward. And so I live in Shenzhen, right over the border from Hong Kong. Right over the border from Hong Kong. So I'm right next to Hong Kong. So this is China, and this is where Hong Kong and Shenzhen are, in the very south. Right, it's called the tropics. So the weather there is pretty nice. It's not very cold. Maybe we have 2 days of cold weather in the winter. So as you can see, it's right over the border. There's ferries that go to Hong Kong, ferries that go to Macau. We can travel very easily to Southeast Asia, to Thailand, to Vietnam, to Cambodia, to Korea. So it's very nice. To Singapore. And go next. 14 million people live in my city too. It's a lot of people. Do you know a city in the U.S. that has 14 million people? New York, another city? Los Angeles. Mostly just Los Angeles and New York have as big a population as my city. And my city is a small city. It's not even the biggest. The biggest city, guess how many people? If this is 14 million people, guess what the biggest city in China is? 33 million. 33 million. That's Chongqing. It's called Chongqing. Why do people live in China so much? Why do they like China so much? As my friends say, China is great for foreigners, but not so great for Chinese people. So it's great for you and me. If you were working in China, it'd be great. But Chinese people, the unemployment is about 30% out of 1.4 billion people. So that's a lot of people.
That's almost half the population.
Yeah, well, 30%.
If you think about it, it's almost half.
It's a lot of people. So Shenzhen is a new city, actually. Red Scarf Girl depicts how Mao destroyed 5,000 years of culture, right? And then what happened after? Anyone know? I have a lucky money for you if you can answer what happened after. Yeah, Shenzhen. Let's go. A guy named Deng Xiaoping. This is Deng Xiaoping. He's in Shenzhen. Shenzhen was his brainchild. He said, we need capitalism. We need commerce. China wasn't thriving. So he set up the Shenzhen Capitalist Zone, the SEZ, the Special Economic Zone. And in this zone, they say that capitalism is allowed there. So the U.S., you know, U.S. has capitalism, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so China, there's only certain parts of China that allow capitalism. Because when Mao came, it set up the communist government. So Shenzhen has many different districts, 7 in total. This is my friend Christy. The first place I lived was called Lunghua. It's an outer district of Shenzhen. And there was so much construction when I first moved there. I nicknamed it Slum Village. I was terrified when I first moved there. There was just so much construction. So Lunghua means good dragon. Long is dragon, and Hua is good. And so all the construction, my friends joked that I lived right in the middle of the construction. They called it today's inconvenience for tomorrow's convenience.
Was that like edited at all, or did it really have the English in it?
They have English after everything. Like the Chinese is. I'll go back. There. So today's inconvenience. 今天 is today. 今天的不到 is not convenient. Today is not convenient. And 明天 is tomorrow. So tomorrow is convenient. So that's the Chinese. So now they have the metro because of all that inconvenience. So Lunghua is known for having Foxconn. You can push 3 times. Anyone know about Foxconn? It's a college? No, not a college. It's a factory that produces something. Anyone know what it produces?
Oh, forgot.
Taking a wild guess, like maybe some kind of technology.
Yep, it produces technology. It's known as Apple City, actually. And it has over 70,000 employees just in this little area. When I lived in Lunghua, I lived 5 blocks from this factory. So almost all my neighbors worked at Foxconn. And so Foxconn makes all the Apple products, iPods, iPads, any of your Apple products. And they also make computers, HP, Dell. Everything comes from this area. And do you know what these are? what was happening to the workers? The workers were yeah, people were falling off the roof. Why were they falling off the roof? Yeah, they were committing suicide. They really didn't like working here, so they would try to commit suicide. So Foxconn built nets to prevent them from killing themselves. And so this is actually a Taiwanese company. It's not a Chinese company, it's a Taiwanese company. So that's where my town was known for. You can go next. So this was outside my window, living in the middle of all the construction. Now I live in a painting village. It's called Dafen You Hua Cun. Dafen is the name. Yo is oil. Hua Cun, Hua is paint, and Cun is village. So Dafen Oil Painting Village. So 80% of the world's oil paintings come from this village. They're sold to TJ Maxx, to Marshalls, to other places similar. And there's just people painting copies upon copies of oil paintings. Because there's no intellectual property registration. It's very difficult to register your intellectual property in China. And you must register it in China to get it recognized. So if you paint a picture in the US, they can copy it in China because you didn't register the copyright in China. So that's why things are very easily copied in China. So this is what the village looks like. There's paintings everywhere. So these are things China makes. China makes 90% of the world's personal computers. China produces 50% of the world's pork. China makes almost all the light bulbs, about 80% of the light bulbs. Many other things. China's a big producer of things. So, the way that they can produce this is, question?
Don't some Chinese companies make cars?
They make cars too, yeah.
I knew it.
Toyota, I think, is Japan.
Yeah, because that was the name of what's the name? The CEO or the boss, I believe.
So many of the people who work in factories, who build the foundation of China being so great, their economy pushing forward, come from what we call migrant workers. These people grow up on the farm in a very rural area, and they leave the rural area to find their wealth in the city. So they leave and they go and make lots of money in the city. They leave their children behind, so most children are raised with their grandparents on a farm like this. So that would be like your parents leaving you in Colombia with your grandparents and going to DC. Would you like that? No. So I actually got to visit one of these farms. I had the special privilege of visiting. This was my bedroom in the farm. I stayed with my friend. This was the shower. I only brushed my teeth there. I did not take a shower there. My friend, Christy, she took a shower there. This is where her husband grew up, her Chinese husband. This is where he grew up. They held a curtain for her. Do you know what this is? The toilet.
Just like in the stretch.
The WC, do you know what the WC is? The water closet. That's what all the Chinese kids know as the bathroom, the WC. They say, teacher, I must WC. Teacher, can I go to WC? Do you say that? No, you ask for a bathroom pass, right? So this is the WC. This is what it looked like. This was their farmhouse. And this is a regular, this is called a squatty potty. It's the typical toilet found in China. The one on the right is the one at the farm. And someone has to take this out, the bucket, and clean it and fertilize all the plants with it. So this is the bus to school. This is what myself and students take to school every day. A what bus?
Like a bus that I would take every day to go somewhere.
Danny.
Say that again? Yep, it's the public bus. The public schools don't have a bus for children. The children either walk to school or they take a public bus. And so the public bus is about, for me, 40 minutes in traffic, 20 to 30 minutes without traffic. And it's about 30 cents to take the bus. The transportation is very cheap in Shenzhen. It's very convenient. And so most of my students take the bus or they walk from their house to school. And so this was my school last year, a typical morning, and people just hang out outside if you don't work. Pool table set up, no problem.
In America, you
This is my school this year. Mostly all the schools are outside, kind of with the elements. There's no indoor heating. There's no indoor air conditioning. They have individual air conditioning units. Yeah, this school is 1st grade through 6th grade. So the 1st floor is the 1st graders, 2nd floor is 3rd and 4th, the 4th floor is 4th and 5th, like that.
Do they have an elevator?
No elevator. I walk up 6 flights of stairs every day to get to my office.
What do people in wheelchairs do?
They have to be carried, or actually I've seen many people walk up the stairs with their crutches because most of the metros don't have elevators. So it's not wheelchair friendly.
What do you work for?
I work for the Shenzhen Education Bureau, so I work for the Chinese government. So my school is called Huafu Primary School. Huafu is the name, and Xiaoshui means little study, little xiao, and then shui, study. So that means it's an elementary school. So public schools in Shenzhen are typically better than private schools because the Chinese government gives them more money. So the students are usually better than the students at a private school. In the U.S., it's reversed, right? Yeah. Some people know it as reversed. Yep. And my classes are between 43 to 52 students.
How do you keep your patience? How do you remember that name?
So all these students, Baba.
How many classes did you teach your first year in China with 50 students in each class per week?
My first year, I had 17 classes with about 50 students a class. So I had over 900
I'm not gonna do the math.
and they were all middle schoolers.
How many times did you see the same class each week?
I saw each class once a week. So I teach conversational English. We'll get to that. So in my class, I try to have fun. This was Halloween. They don't celebrate Halloween in China, so we celebrate it in my class.
Oh, never mind.
So this is what they look like. Everybody wears a uniform. Everybody wears a red scarf, just like in Red Scarf Girl. They're known as young pioneers. I don't wear a uniform. So a typical day for a student in 6th grade, school begins with morning exercises at 8:20 a.m. Everybody goes down to the field and has to exercise while the teachers watch them. And if you're not exercising perfectly, you get taken out and scolded. The first period begins at 8:40 a.m. and then at 12, everybody goes home for lunch, or you have lunch in the classroom, and then you take a nap. Even teachers, even principals.
This is an issue
Say that a little louder. What do you sleep on?
Everybody gets a bed, all the teachers. They make sure that you take a nap.
Hold on.
School begins again at 2:30. All the students come back for the last 2 periods. And then school ends at 4:10 for most primary students. But 95% of the students have private tutoring and private instrumental classes until 6 p.m., some until 10 p.m. They have about 4 to 6 hours of homework a night. And there are no school sports. Some kids play soccer, maybe once a month on a Friday. And there's no social activities like dances. So it's very separated. The boys are here, the girls are here. No intermingling.
Then you stay here.
You can go next. So my students play Minecraft and listen to popular music. And they do this when they're happy. They make poetry. So when I said Minecraft, they do this. They like to watch Big Bang Theory. And in China, students will say, "Oh my Lady Gaga," and say, "Oh my gosh." Because Lady Gaga used to be so extreme, right? So they thought she was this crazy woman. They say, "Oh my Lady Gaga." Yeah, they're crazy. So the only free time most Chinese students get are on Sundays. And to spend online, they get 15 to 30 minutes a week. How much time do you get? People Mountain, people see. You can go next. Oh, I guess I didn't show it. What do you think this Chinese idiom means? People Mountain, people see.
There's so many people there that it's just, there's really no free space. So if you have like a personal bubble, everybody's open in it, basically.
Perfect. Yeah, so people mountain, that means there's a mountain of people, and there's a sea of people wherever you go in China. It's a Chinese idiom. So this is, for example, the people mountain, people sea. So many people.
Okay, so why do you see the little KFC thing? How come isn't translated in like Chinese?
Yes, everybody loves KFC more than McDonald's actually. This is Popeyes is in Hong Kong. You gotta have a Pizza Hut is also really big. McDonald's isn't as big as KFC. It's so big, but not as big. You can go to only children. Have you heard about China's only children? Could only have one child per family. So these are all my students. They're all only children. Twins are okay. Everybody wants twins.
If we have like more than one child?
If you have more than one child, you have to pay the government about $50,000 US. Otherwise, you can't. Otherwise, you don't get a register for your child, and your child is non-existent, a non-existent citizen. Danny, next. So these are me and some of my students. And so almost all my students are only children. They call their cousins their brothers and their sisters. It gets very confusing because you think they have a brother or sister, but it's not, it's their cousin. And so it's because of China's population problem. But they just changed this in January. In January they said if one parent is an only child, then you can have 2 children. It used to be if both parents are only children, then you can have 2 children. So as students who are only children and focus mostly on school with the exception of playing musical instruments, no extracurricular activities, what burden do you think are placed on Chinese students?
Maybe because of no extracurricular.
They work really hard so they feel like... Right, just working on their career. So it's pressure. Chinese students feel so much pressure.
I said that they're under pressure.
Yeah, they're under too much pressure. So in my class, I'm the fun teacher. They think my class is only supposed to have fun. So I try to have fun, but sometimes they get a little carried away and they don't pay attention enough to speak English.
I was also gonna say that Forgot what I was gonna say. I've been waiting.
Next time. So let's talk about the girl with the red scarf. Chinese kids and Chinese people alike don't know exactly what happened during the Cultural Revolution, as many foreign scholars don't either, because the Chinese government is very secretive. A lot of common knowledge that's in the U.S. is not common in Chinese people residing in China. So we have a blocked internet. So they block Facebook, they block YouTube, they block Twitter, they block sites that end in edu, they block some Wikipedia entries, they block the New York Times, they block so many other websites. Anything that the government sees as undermining the government. Yeah, YouTube is very difficult. Everyone, the whole society is kept in the dark.
I was going to say, that's probably why the reason why the education system in China is so good, because they only have one child. They do most of the schoolwork and they hardly have any time for themselves. That's probably the reason why they have a really good education system.
That's a good observation. Thank you. So English. Chinese students begin learning English oftentimes before kindergarten. Chinese families see it as very important to learn English. Many Chinese students can read and write English, but they cannot speak it. So this is why they have foreign teachers. So my class is only speak English class. Can only speak English. So these are some of my students through the years. These are middle school students. They were 8th graders. So what do you think is the hardest part about learning English?
Trying to speak it, say it.
Yeah. Trying to speak it. Someone I haven't called on.
Trying to pronounce the words, I think.
Yeah, trying to pronounce the words.
I think it's like shadowing and learning 2 or 3 languages that have to get
Yeah, and that's a good point, the 2 or 3 languages. So in your home, they speak their local dialect, and then they have to learn standard Mandarin, and then they have to learn English. So that is about 3 languages that they must learn. And then Spanish is very extra. That's only if you have lots of money that you can learn Spanish. But how about grammatically speaking, what do you think is difficult in English grammar for Chinese people? How about, like grammatically speaking, what's hard about English? Like the grammar of English. How about?
Because maybe it's hard for me, like, just because they don't know any of the things that they just speak Chinese.
So we can go to the next one. It is the tenses. There are no tenses in Chinese. It's only present tense in Chinese. There's no past tense. There's no future tense. So imagine you only think in present tense, and then you have to think in future tense, and then you have to think in the past tense. Do you think that would be difficult?
Yes.
Yeah. So in China, it reflects their culture because everything happens right now. If we have an assembly, I am told that morning. If they tell me I need to dress up like Santa Claus and sing songs, they tell me the night before. There is no planning in China. It's changing a little bit, but there's almost no planning because we call it nowism. Everything happens right now. Do you think you could get used to that? Yes. That's my friend's biggest pet peeve. They cannot get used to the nowism. So in Shenzhen, the students talked about many things around Shenzhen. We'll talk about that. So Windows of the World. This is a very popular site in Shenzhen. You can go next. The Windows of the World are small replicas of world landmarks all around the world. So they've got a small Eiffel Tower, a little White House, a small Mount Fuji, little windmills from Denmark. So you can go next. And they've got Egyptian pyramids. There's about 130 reproductions. So that's the windows of the world that they talked about. Danny, you can go next. And then we've got Overseas Chinese Town. There's 2 towns in Shenzhen, one on the east side, one on the west side. And both are theme parks. One has upscale restaurants and one has theme parks cutting through the forest. Really pretty. So this is the upscale west part. And these are the roller coasters cutting through the forest. Really okay, let's go next.
She's almost
We'll go quickly. This is Dongmen, Eastgate. So that's really popular. And then the holidays. We'll go quickly through the holidays. Holidays are based around the lunar calendar, around the moon cycles. So the only set holiday are October National Day, which is like our Independence Day, and then January 1st, New Year's Day. So the Chinese New Year is different every year. Students get 3 weeks off, and they receive lucky money. No gifts, they just get lucky money. Sometimes can have $1, sometimes can have $500. Wow. Just in a lucky envelope. It's called red envelope. And people eat a big dinner and shoot off fireworks. There are many firework accidents because there's no government regulation. And then begins the Spring Festival, a part of the Chinese New Year. So these are some of the sites. They set off these lanterns. And have dragons. And then April, they have the tomb sweeping holiday, where they clean their ancestors' gravesite, and then they burn paper money and luxury goods, like paper iPods or paper tablets, for the ancestors to use in the afterlife. So this is burning the luxury goods. And then May, they have May Day, Labor Day,
speak Chinese beyond.
and then they have a Dragon Boat Festival in May or June, and it's after a poet who once wrote beautiful poetry and then killed himself. The people, he threw himself into the river. The people did not want the fish to eat him, so they made these sticky rice dumplings and threw them in for the fish to eat. So these are the sticky rice dumplings, zongzi, Danny, and the Dragon Boat Festival. And then in September, school begins September 1st, and then we have the Mid-Autumn Festival. This is during the full moon in September. A woman and her husband found the elixir of life, and the woman was sneaky and took it one day, and she was shot up to the moon with her jade rabbit. So she's called Chang'e, and they just put a rover on the moon to examine the moon from China, and they named it Chang'e.
We just had 2 hours. That was 2 hours.
And so for this day, we have 1 and 3 days off when we eat mooncakes and sit outside watching the full moon at midnight, looking for the woman and her jade rabbit. So this is Chang'e with her jade rabbit, and these are the mooncakes we eat. Chocolate are really
Starbucks
yummy.
cakes.
And then we have National Day. It celebrates when Mao took over in 1949. It's like our Independence Day, and we get 7 days off. And the traffic, 300 million people travel. That's like the population of the U.S. traveling at the same time. So this is National Day.
I won't be able to do it.
National Day at Dongmen.
Everyone
And then Western New Year's we
day
have
when
off.
every bus was going.
And then,
With the stands.
so